background. It's pretty cool.
All right, now we should be good. Let us pray. Let us pray. I tell you. So basically, um, damn, did I hit record? Okay, jeez.
I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know.
Oh,
Make sure.
welcome to another episode of Nerds with Badges. I'm having technical.
And we may be recording or we may not.
Have ha- we hopefully we are. I'm having technical
We are live
difficulties.
on the radio.
This really reminds me of that battle that Babyface did with Teddy Riley some years ago, when they were trying to figure out how to get they were trying to get the video right, and they ended up having to cancel until like another time.
Right.
But
Sound men from another age.
but
Another time.
my name is Sergio Willis, and this is my platform, Nerds with Badges, and that would be that would be a spinoff. And this is my guest, Herb Merriweather. And you are I heard a rumor that you were some sort of a voiceover person.
I am, sir. I'm a voice actor. Been doing it. Actually, been doing it professionally for about a little over 20 years now. I got started after my 50th birthday, so it's never too late. As a matter of fact, my background is one of the characters that I did. It's actually still being played on Amazon. You can still get it on Prime. The Adventures of Vivo, and I played the villain. I got a chance to be the Sun King. A lot of fun. Had a chance to do all kinds of just wonderful, live events. The Rose Parade for 12 years, the Tony Awards, the Academy Awards, the ET Awards. A lot of good stuff there. And not to mention a lot of my animated projects as well. So, we have a lot of fun. Not done yet.
How did that happen, though? How did you get into all of that? How did it start? What's your superhero origin?
My origin story is a strange one. First of all, like champion, all champions, I give honor, praise, all praise to God, for my gift, my life, and I do. I say that not being facetious. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, watching, born in 1954. So my entertainment was the original old Warner Brothers cartoons, the old Merry Melodies. With the tremendous voice actors, Mel Blanc, Jude Foray, and then later on, guys like Dawes Butler, some of the people that worked. I had a chance to meet Jude Foray personally. Lovely woman. Growing up with that, and also I came up in an age of radio. One of the things that I did as a kid was I listened to a lot of radio. When you're a nerd growing up, or as they call us in bookworms, growing up, I did a lot of radio, and so radio helped shape and frame my existence, so to speak. A lot of radio ads, a lot of radio comedy, voiceover. People like W.C. Fields, whose comedy was specifically you had to listen to it. You had to listen to what he was saying. You had to understand when he was fracturing a word. You had to understand that he was using bad syntax. And so that's where a lot of this comedy came from. And then going, like I say, going forward, getting into. So that's my basis. That's my mutant powers didn't come into effect until I got into school. Once I got into school and started, interacting with people, I started, getting the report cards that said talks too much in class, makes weird noises, disturbs the class on a regular basis, that kind of stuff. So that was kind of sort of where it started, where it got born. I really didn't, and I was into voiceover in St. Louis. The first thing I did when I began to try to get a career was I volunteered. I was doing some volunteer reading for the blind and vision impaired at a place called Our Lady of the Snows, back in Belleville, Illinois, about 100 miles, about 60 miles east of St. Louis in Illinois. And I was volunteering doing that, and that was kind of sort of a, practice and, kind of giving back kind of thing. And what stunned me about that was that there was an audience. There were actually people who started writing in and saying, I enjoy it, I appreciate it, and I was like, whoa, this is really a service. This is really something I can continue to do. So that was kind of sort of my first. Don't want to say professional, but I want to say regular gig.
Were you interning or something?
It was a volunteer position, so kind of sort of interning. If you wanted to do it, you could do it. and it was a volunteer position that I had heard about through some people that that knew that I was wanted to go broadcasting. I went to broadcasting school. I got my FCC license, my third endorsed license, which nobody nobody cares about that anymore. Not even the FCC. Okay.
Oh, really?
I got the license. My call sign is KVEH 3765. It's my official call sign for Herbert Lee Merriweather, radio telephone operator.
So so wait a minute. So you saying they don't care about you having a license to do voiceover?
When I say they don't care, I mean broadcasting is advanced to such a level as we're doing what we're doing now, and we don't need an FCC license to do it.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I don't mean to because you needed the license then to do anything, anywhere near the radio or television, any kind of background. It behooved you to go to school to get a license. It helped you get in, but what happened with that was, that was again, it's a platform and a background for me to try to build on. Now, the weird thing about voiceover is the thing I love about voiceover is that it's kind of a weird kind of it's hidden. It's a hidden power. Okay, I can sound like anything when I stand behind a microphone and get a chance to bring creatures to life. I've animated alligators and lizards and lamps and just have a good time with it. Just being characters, bringing these things to life as people have requested, or as the ideas come. So people don't know what you look like. They only know what you sound like.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't know. I would have never have recognized Kevin Conroy. Jesus. Who did the voice of Batman. If I ran into him in the store, I haven't any idea how he looked until I saw him. I think I saw like some articles, but it was funny because he played Batman on. You ever watch any of the CW shows, like Flash?
A few.
Well, they did this.
I have holes in my media because I'm working here and doing this there, and I've missed whole seasons of old shows.
They did this, but every year they would do a crossover. So they did this big crossover. The first one was, I think the first one was Crisis, and they ended up going to, it was either Crisis but it was one of them. And they ended up like going to like a parallel world, and they met Bruce Wayne, and it was Kevin, but wow. he was bad. Well, he was like, he turned bad basically, and Batgirl, had to basically beat him up, because it was crazy, but he was playing himself. It was real cool seeing him actually, playing because they had the Batgirl show only ran for like 3 or 4 seasons, and the lady quit after like season 2, I think. Kate, her name is
Yvonne Craig.
No, the white lady. She quit, and they the first 2, I think the first 2 seasons, or the first season, it was a white lady, and she left because she got hurt. She hurt her back, and there was like long work hours, and it was a bunch of mess. People were saying she was hard to work with. But she left the show, so they brought in a black girl who they said she had like, I guess she had like a military background or something. I'm trying to remember, because there was like a love triangle with her and a police officer. She was a lesbian, and she. And I gotta go back and watch it because I heard it got really, really good. It was like there was this long storyline they were dragging out that just got on my damn nerves. But yeah, she's pretty good though. I liked her as she was in one of the John Wick movies. I think she was a bad guy in one of the John Wick movies. But she's got like short hair. I cannot remember her name for the. But are you union?
I am non-union, and that's not. That's another weird and sad tale. I have always been open to union representation. You're joining the union, but you have to know somebody to know somebody. It's still a very close set. It really is. It's kind of sad because you know, as much term as much. How can I put it? I want to try to. I want to try to be fair. It's not that there isn't a need for a union, because there is. There's most definitely a need for a union because because you have movie executives and production houses saying, "Oh, we made $4 billion. It's the third best movie in the world." And then they turn around and tell the people that made that movie, "We got no money." So there's a need for unions. Okay, there's a need for unions.
Yeah.
To at least get what's fair. So there's that. That being said, there was a time when there was a SAG-AFTRA. There was SAG and there was AFTRA. SAG was a little more exclusive with the membership. You had to know somebody, and somebody had to hire you on the set, and then they had to give you a Taft-Hartley and paperwork and this kind of thing for you to get in the union. That was a way in. That's pretty much the only way in. AFTRA was a union, not an everyman's union. You could walk in with your demo or whatever, and walk in with the money, and say, "I am a performer. This is what I've done," and they would take your money, and you'd be in the union. Thank you. Okay, now, my boss at Audio Eyes, when I was working out here at Audio Eyes, I was in audio description for several different TV shows, movies, all that kind of stuff. He was this far from putting all of us in the union. He was going to go the AFTRA way and just go in the door and say, "Hey, my name is so-and-so, man, I got these guys, they're my employees, and I want to unionize them." That was his plan. Told us all. We had a company meeting. That was his plan. Going to do it next week. In 4 days, it was as if the devil was listening to the meeting or something. In 3 or 4 days after we had that meeting and were actually preparing and excited to go into, SAG and AFTRA merged. They put a hold on new memberships for a moment. After which they said, "Well, we're going to go with the SAG method of membership," and once again, it became a closed house.
It became a what?
So, it became a closed house, a closed set. You gotta work on the set to get in the union. You can't just walk in. You can't just walk up to the union representation and say, "Hey, I want to come in because I've done it." And it does, and they'll tell you, they'll give you a big long speech about how it doesn't work that way, or they won't get back to you at all. And that's the honest to God truth. I'm not mad at the union. Like I said, I tried to join many times, but I'm not in the union, and I'm not mad about it.
So you're saying they gatekeep, basically. There's gatekeeping.
Sure. Still, oh man, listen. I'm not getting into any kind of stories. I know I have very, very close friends of mine who are in the industry, who are union members, who have slap fights with the union on a regular basis about this thing or that thing or another thing. And I'm not, I'm just saying. Some really unnecessary stuff to somebody who's going to be a member. It's weird. It's just weird. Very, very,
But
like you said, gatekeeping. There's a lot of gatekeeping.
Does it pay? I mean,
I don't care. Nobody can cancel me. I'm not nervous about it. If you want me to be in the union, I'll join.
Can you?
And I've said that. I've said as much.
Are you making are you able to survive off of the work that you get as a voiceover person? Or
Yeah.
oh, so you do that full time?
Listen. Let me again. I make no boast. God is my agent. I've approached agents. I've done the footwork. I've sent my demo, and I've not been good enough to be picked up by an agent. And yet I continue to get. And yet I continue to appear on this video game. And I'm not just doing the voiceover on these projects. My training and my training at Audio Eyes has enabled me to create soundscapes. I don't know if the video game. There's a recent video game we did last year, Bronzeville. It's the history of Chicago, Black Chicago between the world wars. Very, very lively period piece. And my wife and I got a chance to voice and produce 90% of the sound for that game.
It's a game?
It's a game.
What is it? What do you say it's called?
It's called Bronzeville. It's on the Steam platform.
Really?
Yeah.
When did that? So
I'm trying to think. Oh, you know what? Here, I could actually share on my website. But on my website, on my demo page, are a couple of works. Some of the work that we did that appears in the game. I've got a voiceover. I've got one of the voiceovers that I actually did in the game on my demo. So
Okay.
I can send you that link. You take a listen to it.
Yeah.
But like I said, this is I did this work, and this is not a brag. Again, I give all glory to God, man. This is not a brag. I did this work when Hollywood was on strike. Hollywood was striking. I was working with some people out of Atlanta. A couple of brothers, they're brothers and they're brothers, and they're very, very passionate, book publishers about passionate about what they do. And these guys are fact, man. The artwork in this game is just jaw dropping. From the brother who's the media, the media producer. It's just amazing. And I'm still working on actually writing audio description, for the project. I'm kind of like a third of the way because it's a lot of stuff to handle. But it's a beautiful, beautiful game. And what it is, it's a role. It's a role play game where you stop at the vineyard, you listen to the stories. You travel to another part of the city. Catch the cab, travel to another part of the city. Walk down the street, you hear the city. You hear the sights. Stop in front of the bar, you hear the story in the bar. It's a very, very it's a game. But it's historical, educational, and very, very detailed.
What's the price?
I have to say it because I have no idea because it's been on the Steam platform for a while. I don't sell it on a regular basis, and it's been there for a year, so you can probably get a pretty good deal on it.
It's been there for how many years?
Just 1 year. It's a new game.
Okay.
1 year.
Okay.
Relatively new.
I'm trying to
They never die.
I'm trying to put myself on a restriction. I think I told you I was trying to get me a Switch 2. Man, a new Nintendo machine. All I can find is people trying to sell me. It's $450 for the system. Now, if you want to buy a game, the popular game right now is Mario Kart Worlds. That game is $80. Now, if you get the system bundle for $500, they throw in Mario Kart World, so you save $30.
Yeah.
But I went on Facebook Marketplace. I see it for $600, $625, $700. And when I look on eBay, I mean, these people go in the damn store and they will go in there,
buy them all,
and they'll have their friends come in and buy more. And then they have these bots, computer programs that will buy the inventory. They have multiple accounts. And I got to give it to Nintendo because they were supposed to release it last year, but they pushed it back because they wanted to make sure that they could, there'll be enough. They sold 3.5 million of these things in 4 days.
Wow.
They made like over $1 billion, and they're saying it's like the biggest video game console launch ever. I called GameStop this afternoon. Probably was around 12 o'clock, and they were out, but they said that they had some because I asked the guy. And I'm so surprised somebody answered the phone because usually it goes straight to voicemail, and it'll say I'm transferring you to, you press 1 and then it'll transfer you to but then you just hear elevator music, and then it's like all of our clerks are busy right now. Please try back again later.
Yeah, thanks so much. Right.
They told me they had gotten 5 in this morning. So people were like, when I went the last time I went to game, I went last week to check. There was a line of people. There were people waiting to get a Switch, and then there was some Pokemon event going on. But I suspect that if I want to try to get one, I mean, I've almost given up, honestly. I mean, because I have
How much are they going for online? How much are these pirates selling?
Well, the scalpers are selling them for at least, you're not going to get one for $500. And they're selling
that's the store price, right?
And yeah, that's the bundle. The system by itself is $450, but they're selling that. They're selling that, the $450 without the game. They're selling that for, some people are selling that for like $700-800, and people are desperate, and they'll pay it. And I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that problem, man, because I Because I was tempted, man. There was a guy who was gonna sell me one for like 625, but then I'd have to go and meet him, and and all that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna give you like.
Sound like we're buying a nuclear device.
It's just, I don't know, man. It's like I'm still, a couple of months ago, I was having issues with my Nintendo Switch. I was having issues. I couldn't play Mario Kart, which was driving me crazy. And I had to call Nintendo customer service, and they had a tech person, and then my internet was messing up, and I had to call because there was something with the internet with Nintendo servers that was causing conflict. So I couldn't get online to play Mario Kart, which is like, if you play Mario Kart, you need online to play with other people.
Yeah. You would think that they would police their own online capabilities a lot more, since the online is what really matters.
We're talking about Nintendo. We're talking about Nintendo here. I don't want to like sound bad about Nintendo, but they're a little behind the scene. They're behind the scene. They're behind the times with some of the things that they do with their stuff, and I don't know if it's. I know some of the things that they do was to like for the Switch, the old Switch. If you wanted to do voice chat, you had to install an app on your smartphone, on your phone. You had to install an app on your phone, and that was how you would use chat, because they were trying to, like, I guess they're trying to making it hard for people to use it. And this is supposedly to protect the kids from vulgar language or whatever and all the craziness that's out there. But I mean, it's just kind of like archaic, and their technology is the new Switch is more tech. It's a bit more sophisticated, but the last few systems that Nintendo's put out, they've been kind of underpowered compared to what PlayStation and Microsoft are doing, and a lot.
They've got the classic games, but they don't have an up-to-date system to it.
Well, it's a family system, and I guess they really, they have the nostalgia factor, and then they've got some big IPs, Mario Kart, Super Mario, the movie. They're going to make another Mario movie. It did really well, the Mario movie that came out, and Pokemon is like a monster franchise, which is crazy because they almost passed on Pokemon. But I mean, you think about these things, you hear Microsoft almost passed on Halo, which was like their big. I mean, they literally were like a last minute decision to put the game on the Xbox. It was going to be a computer game, so you can imagine. You hear stories about things that happen, and you're like, damn, what would have happened if such and such. But Nintendo's just, they do their own thing, man, and I don't know. It's the video gaming industry's right. It's so strange right now. Everything is going digital, and handhelds are like taking over. Handheld systems are taking over. I mean, they're literally like, you can have these machines, and you put a little keyboard on it, and you can just go to town, just like on a laptop. It has Windows in it. A lot of the handhelds now have Windows 11. And they're essentially, they're PCs. They call them there's a term for it. My God, my brain. But the first one was Steam Deck, which used Linux, and it's a lot more like a traditional console. You just turn it on and it works. But when you're using Windows devices, you have to install updates and drivers, and you have to tinker with it a bit more. So a lot of people prefer using Steam as opposed to Windows, because it's, you just turn it on and it works. With Windows, you got to go. You always got updates.
The folks at AudioEyes use Steam as well. They use Steam.
Steam is now becoming a monster operating system, because the companies, it's easier to it's an easier operating system, because Windows just comes with drivers and updates, and it could be a mess, because I can't just turn my little Asus or Lenovo or MSI Claw on and just start playing. There's always updates constantly. There's updates for all the apps and all the games all the time. If I go a few days without turning it on, there'll be like 20 updates, and it's so annoying. And Steam, you just turn on and it just So it's there. Microsoft is that.
The updates always seem to come at a time when you don't need that right now. It's like, even computer updates, even updates just like when I'm ready to get into a project now, I'm ready to do a thing, and then well, we're just going to shut the computer down for 25, 30 minutes or so, and you're just
Yeah,
going to sit here and watch it.
yeah.
Thanks!
Well,
When you shut the
Microsoft
computer off, though, it's like, oh,
Microsoft is working with the companies to make Windows a lot better for handhelds, and plus the fact that you don't have a mouse and a track
yeah,
to move. Now some of the handheld systems actually do have like they have this track pads so you can
okay,
move, so it helps to navigate.
right,
But
right.
Steam is now actually being becoming the go-to operating system for the handheld systems because so Microsoft is actually coming out with their own handheld later this year in partnership with another company. Yeah, and it looks like a controller. It looks like you took a controller and they split it into, and they put this weird kind of like thing in it, and it looks kind of weird. It's like a screen in between of a micro to a Xbox controller. It's like a screen, and so I mean, it's probably gonna be like $1,000. I cringe when I try to imagine how much that thing is. I would love to do a video game though, man. I mean, I want to do a video game. I want to do a project. I've done the animation. I've done the comic book. I've done the film and stuff, and I want to do a video game. That's something I want to do.
I sent you a link to my page on my website, and on that page is a sample. It's an audio sample from the video game that we just did. Um, uh, Bronzeville, like I said, Bronzeville is a historical game. It's a historical path. There are clues, hidden pathways, hidden doorways. When you go into it, you learn something about the neighborhood. You go down the street, you can hear the street scene, you can hear the doo-wop, you hear all these different, all these different arrangements and all these different street scenes and audio scenes. But, we were blessed to be able to produce that for them. That they were quite surprised because they were hiring a voice actor, and they were, yeah, my wife and my wife's a phenomenal singer and voice actress as well. You know what I mean? But what they got a lot more because I asked him one time. I asked him, I said, would you mind if I add a little ambiance, a little nuance, maybe some background sound or some of these? They were like, yeah, Herb, give it a shot. Give it. So, once they turned me loose, I was able to send them a couple of things. The sounds of a barber shop, the sounds of a pool hall, and they were like, oh, this is gonna be fun, you know what I mean? Because they weren't expecting that just from the voiceover folks. Now, I'm not tooting my own horn, but what I'm saying is I really thoroughly enjoyed doing that, being able to produce that kind of work for that project in the midst of a strike out here in Los Angeles. That's why I say, I give all praise and honor to God. I'm working when other people aren't, and getting paid when other people aren't.
What was the budget?
I don't know what the total budget was. I know they paid a handsome sum. I put it to you like that. I tell them I
Did they have?
they paid a handsome sum for the work that voiceover industry is catering excellence.
Did they get? Did they get? Was it like private funding, or did they do like crowdfunding?
They did crowdfunding and private funding.
Did Kickstarter or Indiegogo?
I believe it was a Kickstarter.
Really?
About 3 or 4 years ago, when they were as they were really getting into it. Because when we talked about budget, I basically asked it because it's a massive project. It really is. And they asked me. I said, well, what do you do with the budget? And they told me. I said, well, that's your budget for for voiceover. And they were like, yes. I said, then we will work. That's our budget, and that's it. We'll come in a dollar under. You know what I mean? Under budget and on time.
What was it?
So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Um. So you don't know what the goal was for Kickstarter?
I'm not quite sure the financial goal they were really looking for. It's public information, but right now the buying block is because I think it's 40,000, 50,000. And this was for game development because I'm not the only, I wasn't the only artist that worked on it.
You got to pay everybody else.
Yeah. And like I said, the One Brothers artwork is oh my God, it's man, it's so avant-garde and so fabulous in itself. You know, his artwork that went along with the scripts and the project itself, just amazing. You know, just amazing stuff. So, but they were working with the backgrounds, working with the animations, you know, the animators, working with the video game producers, the video game people that actually turned it into, you know, a walkthrough, you know, into the hallway, a walkthrough time, you know, where all these doorways and portals and people will be open to. So, you know, it's a great project. You know, there's an introductory video.
Mm-hmm. A trailer.
Yeah, a trailer. Good word. Trailer. Yes. I love the intelligent people. I love people that know what I'm talking about when I don't. Anyway, don't have it my way. Wait a second. Okay, I've left you for a moment. I'm gonna see if I can find this because I think I might have a copy of it.
All right, and again to all the viewers, this is Nerds with Badges. Today is it's not 12 o'clock, so it's June the 20th. I'm Sergio Willis. This is Herb Merriweather. I'm talking with him today about his work as a voiceover, but also, you know, I talk about other stuff on my platform, video games, comic books, and we're gonna get the comic books because he's a big comic book person too.
Love them. Love the comics. Love the comics.
Potentially, his comic book powers might rival my own, possibly.
I don't think so. You, my friend. See, you have the gift of the old and the new. I admit to about your knowledge of the new because I have long since fallen off. You know what I mean? Life, age, other interests and other things have crept in to not cripple my interest in comics, but cripple my readership. So,
they're expensive now too.
Yeah,
You know what I bought today.
You know what? I'd rather buy a comic book than a pack of cigarettes. Let me tell you something. I used to smoke. Woo! I'm so glad I quit. You know what I mean? There's that.
I bought Avengers versus Aliens #4 today. I was shocked that it was $7.99 because I don't remember paying $7.99 for the other issues. It's like, my God.
Are these graphic novels or are these comics?
No, it's I told you they're doing all kinds of crazy crossovers because I also bought Spider-Man versus Predator #2. I didn't know that one was out. Yeah, it's like, but it's the Avengers one is it's so depressing because like the aliens basically, humanity had to leave the Earth. They left in this big ass. They left in this big ass ship. But when they landed, like, and it basically there was only a few Avengers that survived. Captain America and the Hulk, I think they got killed because they had to stay behind to fight off the horde of aliens so everybody else could get away. So when they went to the planet, which was like a planet, I don't know if it was Mars. I don't know if it was because the X-Men actually terraformed Mars recently in the comics. So when they went, so everybody gets out of the ship, everybody's all happy. They don't have to worry about anything. Mr. Sinister, a whole bunch of Mr. Sinister duplicates come out and approach the ship with everybody, and you know, runs over to greet everyone with these boxes, and they open the boxes and they're alien, you know, the things that come out, the face huggers, and and everybody's like, ah! And it's this big fight that takes place. Iron Man gets killed, and Carol Danvers gets rescued at the last minute by Wolverine and a few of the X-Men, and they take her and retreat to their lair somewhere.
Wow.
It's just, and I mean, and Spider-Man Spider-Man had went to Peter Parker. Well, in his Peter Parker, you know, he went and took some pictures for the Daily Bugle, and the bodies are all like horrifically disfigured from the, you know, because the Predators, they take the spine or whatever in the skin, and and J. Jonah Jameson J. Jonah Jameson is pissed at him because he's like, how did you get those pictures? And you know, and I guess the police are like after him because they want to figure out how the hell did he get those photos, because I guess he sneaked in, and I think he disguised himself as one of the. So, but it's really hot in New York, and I think something happened in the subway, but it's really like very horrific and very, you know, for a Marvel. But they have a lot of, they have Godzilla teaming up They had Godzilla fighting the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and the Avengers, and they got Naruto teaming up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and
That's crazy.
it's and now I heard that they just announced Captain America and Wonder Woman team up that they're gonna do. So they're
That would
doing
be
the
interesting because who would they fight?
they're doing
Well,
well. They're not fighting. They're teaming up.
no, who would they fight?
Oh,
Who would they
anybody.
battle against?
God, Wonder Woman has a pretty, extensive rogues gallery, and Captain America is Red Skull and Baron Zemo, and he's got.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that the two of them need to have some sort of a villain that would something new that would draw those two together. I would think that, and this is just me spitballing. I would think that if I was gonna draw them, if I was gonna team them up, I would have to write a story it would have to be something where they were both involved. Wasn't her boyfriend in the military?
Well, yeah, Steve Trevor. He was shot down, and she rescued him.
Gotcha. Could he have met Steve? Could he have met our Steve? Captain America Steve? Is there any way that he could have met? Is that okay? What's that?
That's the book, the Wonder
that's
Woman.
the Wonder Woman. Okay, here's one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that Steve, in the TV show they explained when because in the TV show, and season 3 just jumped forward to the 70s from the 40s, because Wonder Woman season 1 and 2, the series was set in like the 40s in World War II, and then in the 70s it was season 3, and then they said it was basically Steve Trevor's grandfather, who just happened to look like him, his great grandfather.
Right.
So
So here's the thing. But here's the thing. I would if I was going to write for them, I would use that military World War II military background as the cause, as the catalyst for the team up. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Something. There would be some sort of thing that they would be maybe that they would have more in common that they knew. Even with her boyfriend and Steve Rogers, maybe they swapped Steves, or who knows? Maybe they passed each other in training. Maybe they got drunk together one night. Who knows? Where these guys ran into each other, or where the link was, or maybe it was with another soldier, a third party, that they might have been involved in. Who knows? But what I'm saying is that would be an interesting team up if they used that World War II backdrop. I'm thinking it would be easier for them to make it plausible. I can't think of anything modern that would bring them together.
They canceled the game.
They'd start there, you know what I mean? And come forward.
They were working on a Wonder Woman game since like 2020. I think they announced it, and they canceled it. They just announced that they canceled it like a few months ago, and they were doing a Black Panther game, and they canceled it.
GBs.
But they are doing a Black Panther and Captain America team up game, and it's being voiced by the guy Carey. He did the voice for Cyborg, I guess, on Teen Titans. Carey something, but it takes place like in the 40s or something. So it's not T'Challa. It's like his grandfather or great grandfather.
Like you say, grandfather.
Because yeah. So it's
Black Panther nonetheless.
You should watch the trailer on YouTube because it looks really good. It looks really. I love period pieces. I really do. I don't know why. I've always loved period pieces.
Pull them off, they're great. If they can pull them off, they're great. I'm very, very guarded with the Marvel Comics movies that they're producing now, because they broke a lot of ground. They did a lot of great storytelling with their first wave of films, including the Guardians. I don't know what they were trying to do with Thor: Love and Thunder. Everybody makes a mistake. I'm not quite sure what that was. I don't think they knew what it was. Was it a comedy? Was it a...
Well, that's Taiki. I can't say his name.
Yeah,
the director.
He's done some really cool stuff before that.
Yeah.
So this one was like...
I mean, it was funny. I mean, I don't know. It was funny. He did a different direction. I got whiplash after watching Thor Ragnarok and then watching Avengers Endgame beginning, because it's like it went from being a comedy, then all of a sudden they floating in space, and Thanos is just what the hell? I mean, they just this literally happened like a few minutes after. It was so like jarring.
of Asgard and got killed. And got killed by
Yeah,
Thanos.
and then they had the then there was a few
It was like,
survivors. I guess they live on that because Valkyrie is like, she's the leader. They live on this, like they got like a place that they live because they went to get Thor and he was all overweight and playing video games and like
I thought was
threatening.
hilarious.
He threatened some kid that said something.
Yeah, he was online threatening these kids.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And he's nerd out. He is absolutely useless. You know what I mean? It's like, that's Thor? And this guy's like, yeah, he's like, I'm cool where I'm at. Yeah, we lost. I don't care. It's like, what?
Yeah, I think that Ragnarok was good. Love and Thunder was just too. It was too funny. I don't know. It was too campy. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. It's too
That might have
campy.
been the word, and I don't think I expected that as a Marvel, because Marvel they weren't doing campy. There was humor. There was good humor. There was good humor in the movies. There was great stuff in the middle of the films. You know what I mean? Where they drop a line and stare at each other. There'd be a look, a shared look even. That was funny. In the middle of a fight, they would say something stupid. Black Widow and Hawkeye. You and I remember
Budapest.
differently.
Mm-hmm. And they never really elaborated on that.
Flesh out Budapest, right? We never hear about Budapest, but Budapest was a turning point in both their lives. Apparently, it was a job they were on, and what a mess.
Yeah, we'll probably never know.
But stuff like that, fit. I'm trying to think of another one. Where there was like in the middle of action, it's like there's a stare. There's a look. There's something that's well, the classic. When Loki is giving a soliloquy to the Hulk, and the Hulk grabs him by the leg and just thrashes.
Puny God.
Yeah, just
He said, "I'm a god."
And he's like, "Wah!"
Yeah, he's all like,
this is the Hulk. He don't think like that. He really ain't listening to you.
I think that was really the only time that we got a chance to see how tough Loki is. Because I think,
God-wise?
yeah,
well, he wasn't gonna die. We knew he wasn't gonna die,
but he's not.
He knocked him on his ass. He was like, he was done for the day.
The Asgardians in the comics, Asgardian man can lift like 45 to 30, but women, I think women are like 35 and men are like 45, and their skin is like bulletproof, their skin and muscle, and they're heavy. I think Thor weighs like 600 pounds or something like that.
Right, yeah, something like that. He's close to the Hulk's weight.
Yeah.
The Hulk, the dimensions of the Hulk, years ago when Marvel was in full swing, they used to have a banner in every book, and they would describe the hero.
Marvel Universe.
Yeah, it would be the encapsulated description of the hero, and the description for the Hulk was 7 feet, 1,000 pounds of stress.
How big was Sasquatch? Sasquatch is like 7 feet tall too.
Sasquatch was like 7 feet tall too, but he didn't have the density, he didn't have the mass. See, the Hulk had mass.
Really?
7 feet, 1,000 pounds. You're not gonna, not to mention it's gamma irradiated.
Irradiated.
That's a black hole walking. You know what I mean? He's gonna lead destruction wherever he goes.
They explain how Sasquatch came to how he all these years people thought he was transforming, but he was just basically possessing the body of like this ancient deity that was like the old gods, they called them. They were Snowbird was actually supposed to kill him. They were they were something that was, there was a term, the great beasts. They're the great beasts, and his name was Tarak or something like that, and he was white, but then it just got weird. Snowbird, he actually became a woman for a while. Walter became Wanda, and then Aurora and North Star had a falling out, and Aurora had her powers altered, and she was wearing a different costume, and sometimes they don't. And then they said that they're mutants, but then they said that they had like some fairy thing going on, and then they kind of retcon that. I hate when they do stuff like that. You know, they
They
don't.
throw it out. They throw it out there, and when fan reaction doesn't go the way they think, they kind of sort of almost go, well, that was in another universe, or we were just kidding, or we're not really, or it's like
Well, did you like
I
Namor?
respected. I did. I thought Namor was great. I was wondering how they were going to do that, how they were going to bring that character. Now, they brought him in as an antagonist, but he was an antagonist originally.
Yeah.
Namor was originally a villain.
Well, yeah, yes,
They
he's.
considered him a villain because he was involved with the surface world from time to time.
But then he
And
joined
so,
the.
he had run-ins with the Fantastic Four. He had run-ins with the Avengers. He became a defender.
Well, he was an invader too from in the
Back, I, was,
'40s.
I, was, I was just about to say he was an invader back
Bef-
in the 40s. Yes.
yeah.
He lined himself up with those heroes so he could fight the Axis powers. He said as much. He said that's an evil that we all have to unite to destroy. And so he came with it and was all about it. It didn't mean that he had given up his campaign to have revenge or have his thing against the surface world. He was actually trying to make some sense out of the fact that he was part surface dweller. His daddy's an his daddy was what's his name, Mackenzie?
Yeah. Leonard.
Leonard Mackenzie, something like that.
Yeah, he's a mutant too. He's a mutant, right?
And his mama was the mutant.
No. The mutant gene. No, his mother was just a Atlantean. The X gene. He just got the X genes. It just was in him. That's why he has the wings. That's because of the X
The
gene.
wings and the bulletproof hide and
Well, they have that. All of them are like that. All the Atlanteans have that because of the pressure of the ocean makes their skin, and it's the flight.
I tell you what, I enjoyed the way they brought a Tuma in. They brought a Tuma in as an Atlantean general. He was not an enemy to Namor.
Well, didn't Okoye, whatever her name is, fight him?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they had a really good fight.
One general to another general. It was like, whoa.
Yeah, they had a really good fight too. It was a good fight.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. Marvel's done some surprising things with some of the names. They brought in some of these characters, and you remember the names because from time to time they may have been an adversary or they may have been a storyline like they did the White Ape. Like they brought him in the Black Panther. You know what I mean? He was an enemy to the Black Panther. They brought him in for the challenge.
Oh, those 8 people? The 8?
Yeah. Because he was the White Ape at one time. They brought that character in. He was a villain in the original Black Panther book. But what they did was they made him a challenge to the throne. Nonetheless, one of the tribes of Wakanda.
Really?
One of the Eastern tribe. Yeah.
He's a character. He's in the comics.
They worked him in. He was an enemy. He was an yeah. Not unlike Winston's character, which he was absolutely fabulous, by the way. Again, he had a little piece of Marvel humor in his character.
Oh yeah.
You know.
And Claw. Remember Claw?
Oh, Claw.
They wasted him though, man. I hate that they killed him so easily.
I don't think so.
They killed him so easily.
But that was the way it was supposed to go for him. Claw was already doing damage. You gotta remember, we walked in on Claw doing stuff. So he stole it from them before. Wakanda was they were on his case once before. They were buying. Claw was like, yeah, I got it. He was selling it. Remember when they had caught when the mutants accosted him, and he was like, I'm not I'm afraid of cuttlefish. This kind of thing. He was absolutely unimpressed with their power. He just wasn't worried about it.
Excuse me. Woo, excuse me. But the way he died in the movie was just like he gets shot. Really?
But that's okay. I had no problem with that. Because I knew that there was a bigger. He was bait. He was a great character and a great villain. I mean, he wasn't the same Claw that they had. The comics.
Yeah.
Big shade with the.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's powerful now. Claw has gotten upgraded in the comics. He is really up there. Him and
But that's what I mean by Marvel storytelling. They didn't camp it out. They used the names and they used these characters. They brought these characters, even if they brought them into a different light, they still used those familiar names and these familiar characters in tremendous stories, and I think that they did a great job. I think it showed that they read the books. You know, that they actually knew that there was a character named Atuma in Atlanta, in Atlantis. You know what I mean? That they knew that Guam was a thief and a master sonar and an otherworldly kind of an individual. They understood those, even though they brought them back in different incarnations. The incarnations they brought them back in fit. It fit the storyline. It fit the character. I think, you know, like I said, Marvel did some great storytelling, but I'm kind of reserved now because, like I say, the Eternals went on eternally.
I loved it. I loved it.
I was really drawn in to watch it because it started. You know, Captain America. You know, Captain America: Brave New World started with the mystery of the Eternals' half emergence. You know, so I'm like, well, I guess we're gonna have to watch the Eternals now, so I can make that make sense to me. You know, which I did. And it was, like I said,
Blade, poor
yeah.
Blade. Did you see the Blade thing at the end? The little cameo.
No, I did. I did what?
Eternals. Blade comes in to talk to one of the characters at the very end, like an end credit scene.
Oh no, we didn't see that.
Yeah.
We're gonna revisit that.
Because the Black Knight, you know, I guess he is going to become like one of the characters that fight supernatural
The Defenders.
the sons of
Oh, the Sons of Darkness.
no, it's Midnight Suns.
Midnight Suns. Okay.
Yeah, they were like there was Ghost Rider, Blade,
Right.
and I guess Dark Knight was, I don't remember Black Knight being one of them, but I guess Marvel they're gonna do the supernatural, you know, and that was what they were planning. But Blade has been sidelined. Blade has been sidelined. We don't know when the hell they're even gonna start filming. I mean, the script is still. I don't even know if they're. I think they're happy with the script. I think that's the last I heard a few months ago. But man, they announced this back in like 2021. I think was that, you know, they had him come up on stage at Comic-Con and everybody was all excited, and now here we are 2025 and
we ain't even doing that movie no more.
well, it's gonna happen I guess at some point because, you know, they got Moon Knight. They did. Don't tell me you didn't see the Werewolf by Night special that came on years ago on Disney Plus.
Yes, I did. But you know what? Again, this is where Disney is failing Marvel, or where Disney is squandering Marvel. With Moon Knight, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
You didn't like it?
Moon Knight. No, it's not. It's not about like or dislike. It's the character himself. Moon Knight is not a. He's not worthy of the money being thrown at it. I promise to God. Listen, we talked about this in our first visit. And I'm very, very passionate about this because I've read more Marvel comics than I think some of these other people have, some of the people who are doing the movies have. Okay? There are tremendous stories. We talked about the Micronauts. Made my confession about, you know, playing with my kids' toys. You know, we talked about Killer Raven, you know, where the Martians win and they breed humans for food and, you know, gladiatorial sport. You know, all the original Guardians of the Galaxy, you know, where the bad dude just show up and kill everybody, you know, and you have this ragtag group of survivors who are taking the war to the bad dude, you know, all these fabulous, wonderful space operas, 2 or 3 movies worth, you know, but they completely ignore them for second and third and fourth tier characters. I don't understand that. Because there are so many franchise movies and possible franchises that they have in the vault. And you know, I mean, there they are. And then more than that, you know, we talked about the Micronauts. As we're sitting here, we mentioned 4. We mentioned 4 of them. And now, here's another pet peeve. Okay, since I'm ranting here, since I got the soapbox. Disney did an absolutely horrible job on the John Carter movie.
I loved it.
I know. Don't get the movie was. I got a copy of it.
I loved it. Yeah, I have it on DVD.
I love the story. I love Taylor Kitsch as John Carter. All of it was good, but Disney did it a tremendous disservice with the way they advertised it. They simply could have said from the pen of Edgar Rice Burroughs, or from the creator of Tarzan. that movie would have, they would have gone crazy because they would have been able to realize what John Carter you were talking about. We drove around town out here, man, and every billboard I saw said John Carter. That was it.
Yeah, they didn't really promote it
And
very
if you
well.
didn't know who John Carter was, because I wasn't sure at first, Robert Jack. I wasn't sure at first if they meant, you know, John Carter from Mars, if they were that character. I asked the question. I did the research. I was like, what? Now I'm a nerd of the first order. If I had to do the research to try to be sure that that's what we're talking about, people who don't know John Carter, who haven't read John Carter, or need to be reminded of what that story or what that character was all about, they just see a sign that says John Carter, they're going to drive right back. This is John Carter. Who the hell is John Carter? And that's exactly the way it went. And 3 months later, after it opens, it was horrifying. It was bad box office. You're a moron. You shot yourself in the foot. You had no idea. All you had to do on any one of those billboards was say any one of those two things I said. From the pen of Edgar Rice Burroughs, from the creator of Tarzan.
I don't understand how you.
They would have got at least 2/3 more butts in the seats, at least, because they would have known what John Carter you were talking about.
I can't believe you didn't like Eternals, but you liked John Carter. I mean, it's, I don't know. But some movies that come out that tank at the box office, I'm shocked. And then other movies that do really well, I'm like, oh, I'm shocked that people actually liked it. Wow.
I'm the same way. See, I'm weird. Okay, I love rock and roll, but I don't love all rock and roll.
No,
I have several unpopular opinions. I don't like Bruce Springsteen. If you say that in a crowd of people, you'll get thrown at. You know, you'll get tossed out.
Yes.
So stop
I like his vampire movie. You know, he did the vampire movie, right, years ago.
Who cares? Again, I don't like the artist, so I don't follow his music.
No, but you don't remember Forever Night?
Okay.
No. It was a show. It was a show. It was a show that they. Oh, you don't like vampires?
Right, and as I've said before, there's a lot of stuff that comes on the media. I'm not gonna watch it.
Did you watch Werewolf when it used to come on?
If it's starring Bruce, I'm not again.
No. This had nothing to do with Bruce Springsteen. It was Werewolf. It was a show called Werewolf.
Wolves and vampires, I will walk away from. I am not that person. That's just sorry.
Oh, it was a show, a series. It was.
Guide you know, I'm there. You know, if we got guys that are doing some damage or something from outer space, yes.
Did you?
I'm all over.
Did you watch Friday the 13th? Friday the 13th, the series. Friday the 13th, the series.
No.
Really?
Yeah, slasher.
No. It's not a slasher. No, the series. It had nothing to do with Jason. It's about the cousins that own an antique shop, and they were magical antiques that were cursed, and they had to travel all over the world to retrieve the antiques because their uncle was basically, I guess he made a deal with the devil to sell the antiques to people, and so they had to go all over the world and get these antiques back. They were killing people. Some of the antiques were like, you know, like you have like a pen that you could actually write stuff and it would come true, but you had to actually like stab someone and get blood for the ink. All the antiques had like supernatural qualities, and it actually inspired a lot of stuff. It inspired Warehouse 13. I don't know if you ever watched that show. Yeah, it was Warehouse 13.
I bow to your knowledge of newer productions because
What a lady. You know who Pounder, JB Pounder, the black lady who does voiceover and like everything.
CCH Pounder.
Yeah. She was one of the characters. She was like the boss. She was their boss on the show, Warehouse 13. It was like a secret organization that had this warehouse full of like they had the Ark of the Covenant and all kinds of crazy cool stuff that they had locked away from people so nobody could get it.
So they were the organization that was in charge of keeping that away from everybody.
Yeah. So they would have to sometime.
Warehouse 13, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, it was on UPN back in the day, and they even did a crossover with that show, and I think Fringe. I don't know if it was Fringe or Haven, because they would sometimes they would do.
I'll check a couple of them. That sounds like fun.
They would do weird crossovers back in the day, because they did a Legend of Sleepy Hollow and Bones crossover. I remember, and I was like, what the hell?
Right. So what are you doing?
but it was funny because nobody in Bones ever believed in supernatural stuff, and whenever something supernatural would happen, they would always explain it away with science. And then the girl
Right,
and
right.
and the guy were like,
You're like,
no, they're really
this ain't that.
they're monsters. Like, didn't you just see the demon that came in the room? Like, no, that was a
Right.
guy, that was a
Nah,
homeless
nah.
guy who had a drug problem.
They always explain it away. There's always a guy in a lab coat, right? Always a guy. That was one of the things I liked about the movies, about the first Cloverfield, first
Hmm.
one,
Yeah, I
was
loved it.
that was that and reading about it, J.J. Abrams actually said it. He said him and his son were in Japan. They were looking at the Godzilla displays and all the Godzilla toys and he said America doesn't really have a monster. This was his train of thought. He said America doesn't really. He said we got King Kong. He said but King Kong has become our pet. He said we love King Kong. We ain't scared of King Kong. We love Kong, right? So he said, well, we don't have a mind. He said, I wanted to develop something that couldn't be explained by a guy in a lab coat. And I was like, that's interesting because sure enough, he did.
Something that can't be
And
explained by what?
couldn't be explained by a guy in a lab coat.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Okay, so because in just about every science fiction movie and every there's a guy in a lab or a girl in a lab coat saying, "Whoa, this is why it's the thing," So, and he said, "I want to do that. I want to produce a monster movie without any of that," and he did. The
Hmm.
first Cloverfield movie is a hoot.
Hmm. I love it.
I'm into big monsters, so I mean, this thing was sufficiently destructive and scary. And what the hell is that stuff falling off of it? Ah! You know what I mean? That
Kaiju.
was, woo.
Kaiju.
Now that was fun.
Have you seen? Let me ask you. Have you? Do you watch anime?
No. And I tell you why. Because again, you got to remember, I'm old school. I grew up with a certain kind of animation. My first introduction to anime was Speed Racer. I hated Speed Racer with a passion. I can tell you every episode, every character. But I hated Speed Racer because it was not the animation, it was not the acting, the voice acting, it was none of that stuff that I was used to. It was this import stuff, and for me, it was very, very bad. Spritle, Chim Chim, the dubbing.
Well,
It was like watching an Asian kung fu movie.
Well, the Godzilla movies were the same thing. They would be talking, and you'd be like, "Why their mouths are not moving?"
Here's the thing. I had to get away. To understand the Godzilla movies. I had to get away from the American-made Godzilla. I had to get away from all that and see the original, so I could see the real story with the American subtitles,
Hmm.
without the bad dubbing, without any of that stuff.
Hmm.
Now I understand it, and I can excuse all the other attempts. Even when I watched the Toho Godzilla movie a couple nights ago, it was really bad. I told Cora, I said, man, it really sucked.
Which one?
The monsters were dead. They were fighting somebody. It was just odd.
Which one was it?
I'm trying to remember the title. Honey, what was the title of that Godzilla movie I was watching the other night? Do you remember? Honey, do you remember the title of the Godzilla movie we were watching the other night? Remember I told you it was really bad? You don't remember the title. She remembers me complaining about it.
Well, what was he fighting?
It was him, Mothra, um,
Rodan?
young girl. No, Rodan wasn't in this one. This was like a newer production. Rodan wasn't in this one. Mothra was, Godzilla was, and Godzilla looked really weird. He had like dark, glassy eyes. It was like not
Oh
good.
yeah, that's you know what? That movie that you hate was critically acclaimed. You're talking about Godzilla all out monster attack.
That's it. That's the one, buddy. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
that was that
Yeah.
movie was directed by that movie was
I
directed
know.
by
I
he
know.
was a famous director who
That's right.
directed the Gamera movies. And the Gamera movies were like awesome. The three Gamera
I
movies,
love those.
the
I
three
love those.
it's the same director. And so the reason why I asked you if you
This
watch
did not work out. Godzilla looked weird.
yeah, it was a different take. He was the everybody that died in the war. They explained it, and that's why he was. And Sumatra and Ghidorah and the other thing were like, they were like the earth spirits.
You're familiar with the film. I had watched this, but it's the first time I seen it, and I was repulsed.
Well, the reason why I asked you if you watch kaiju is because there's a cartoon called Kaiju Number Eight, and it's about a this organization that fights giant monsters.
Okay.
And one of the guys ends up getting somehow infected, and he turns to a big monster, but he keeps it secret. And he goes and helps them, and then they end up like finding out that he's a monster. I don't want to give it away, but season 2 is coming next month, I believe, and it's on Crunchyroll, which is an app like Netflix or Hulu. It's like $6.99 a month. You can watch all the anime. There's an excellent Gamera anime, and that's on Netflix. And I don't know if you've watched Pacific Rim, but there's a Pacific Rim anime
Yes.
which is awesome, and
Pacific
they
Rim.
getting ready to do a series. They getting ready to do I think it's going to be a live action series on Amazon. But you got to watch the anime on Netflix, man. It is incredible, and
Based on your recommendation, I will give it a shot.
it's more. And the
I
anime isn't like how it used to look. It's not like it's they use a lot of computer CGI stuff. You know, the 3D. Like it doesn't look. It's not like watching Battle of the Planets, which was awesome, by the way. You know, but the animation style was very. Did you watch Battle of the Planets, G-Force?
I did. Yeah.
And you didn't like that?
No, I didn't. I liked it. I like that. That I liked.
Well, they changed that a lot.
I remember watching that.
They edited that also like they did with the Godzilla when they did the American version of Godzilla with Raymond Burr. They actually they toned down the violence. They added like some comedic stuff. They like the robot. There's a robot that would always be talking, and they like that was all added an American version. Yeah, but
Recognize it a bit. Okay.
But yeah, but the anime for Pacific Rim and then there's a Godzilla anime on Netflix too. That I think they made like 3 or 4 of them, and I think the first one was good. They kind of went off the rails a little bit, and then they made like a weird one later. And Jet Jaguar just looked like a bunch of like parts thrown together, and it was actually a cool character, but his design was like very primitive because I guess kids made him, and some kids and their grandfather like who was like an eccentric genius, so he wasn't even really that big, but he would help Godzilla when he was fight monsters. But you got to watch the Gamera anime on Netflix, man. I'm telling you, it is so good.
What do you think? What do you think Marvel was doing with Killraven? I mean, not Killraven. What was the Craven the Hunter?
I actually loved it. I went to see it. I loved it, and I saw it in the theaters. I ended up buying it. It's on Netflix right now. I'm a big fan of because Kick-Ass. I loved Kick-Ass. The first one was really good. The second one was okay, but the first Kick-Ass. That's that's the actor John Taylor. He was in Godzilla. He was also in Quicksilver, which I thought was so stupid. It was just so stupid the way he got killed. He got shot in the back. Just like the girl on Heroes. Remember the girl on Heroes that had super speed? She gets shot in the back.
It's very strange. Very strange. Marvel again. Okay, now I'm gonna get in trouble because I'm still mad at Marvel when it comes in. That was one of the things I was mad about. The other thing I'm mad about is lazy casting. I have no idea why they thought that casting Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom was really good. There are so many actors who are fabulous, who are sinister, blood-curdling, who could deliver Dr. Doom in such a way that, and I think that Robert Downey Jr., I think it was lazy casting.
I agree.
And it's gonna flop. He's
Well,
gonna be that good. Listen, man. Look.
he's a variant. They have variants of. They actually have a variant in the comics.
Trying to make it, and then when they say variant, when they give me another universe, they're trying to make that crap. They're trying to make me eat it. I don't like it. You're telling me a guy looks like Tony Stark now is Dr. Doom in this universe.
I think they in the comics. I think that's actually from a comic story. I think that's from a comic story though.
Make it make sense to me. You were doing all right when you were telling the story realistically. I
Well,
knew it was
you
a fantasy story, but you were telling the story realistically. You were giving me realism with the story, real humor,
what
real blood and guts. People were really dying. People were really needing you. People were not needing you. People were mad at you. Realism.
what did you like
Okay,
Spider-Man?
good stuff.
When did you like the Spider-Man when they had all the three Spider-Man people? You
It was
know,
good. It was good.
did you like
That
What
one I
If?
liked.
Did you watch What If?
Yes, yes. I read the comic books. I love the What If comics. And some of the What If comics did some things. They went in some directions that people didn't know that they were going to go. Um, one of the What If comics was What If Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four. Years ago they approached him. Early in his career they approached him,
Well, he did become a
and
member later.
he turned them down.
He got
In the What If in the original What If book when they approached him, he didn't turn them down this time. He was honored and blown away, and they made a big deal out of it. They became the Fantastic Five.
Hmm.
But Johnny Storm got alienated in the midst of it because Peter Parker is a scientist just like Reed is. So they bonded in a way that was they didn't know it was going to happen like that. Reed Richards and Peter Parker bonded and made the Fantastic Four a super team. Fantastic Five, I'm sorry, a super team. And Johnny faded. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember the book, he committed suicide.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't think the comics code would let them do stuff like that.
And Marvel, let me tell you something, man. Marvel did shit, and they apologized later. They were the first comic book that showed people smoking marijuana.
Really?
You know, and man, Spider-Man was chasing the villain, and the villain. This is some of Marvel's humor again, like in the movies. And this villain runs through him. He's running through an apartment building, and he runs past these guys, and these guys hit the bomb. Right? Spider-Man runs, he's out on the villain's heels, and they go, "Hey, Spidey, you went that way, man." You know, and and he runs, and he doesn't address these guys at all. But it's time, they got the drawing here, and these guys are hippies, and they're throwing a bomb. They tell Spider-Man he went that way, and he goes that way. Well, Marvel got inundated with mail saying, "Why didn't Spidey say something? Why didn't something? Why did you even?" It was wild.
Well,
Because they showed a slice of life, and Spidey didn't say, "Don't do drugs," and stop doing that, and none of that, because he was concentrating on the job at hand. He was focused on what was going on. He was focused on this other character that was doing damage to the city, But in that one frame, Stanley opened up a can of worms, and of course the court of public opinion went nuts. How dare you?
Remember Tony Stark? Tony Stark's alcoholism was a big issue.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was. Yes, it was.
And they didn't do anything with it in the movies.
Half of the fans were in favor of the storyline because again, realism, real life. Shit happens to people. People can't handle it. You know what I mean? Tony Stark was already a loose cannon. He was already a playboy. He was Sansevelt, and he was not Captain America. Think about it. This is the yin and yang of the leadership of the Avengers. Captain America was Smith Brothers. Tony Stark was like, "We're reading about affiliation." You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So there was a different type of leadership, from different types of men. So when Tony Stark fell into alcoholism, it was natural for me. He could not handle the pressure of being an Avengers boss or an Avenger. Being the tech guy as well. He had no his private life was falling apart. And what do you do when you don't want to do drugs?
Wasn't Wasp getting beat up by her boyfriend too
By Hank.
Yeah.
Her boyfriend, by her husband.
Yeah, Hank. Yeah, Ant-Man.
Yeah, Hank Pym was. Yeah, he was fighting her. That shocked people. So T-Mark, and that was that's the reason why I read the Marvel comics, because there was a realism, there was a grit that went along with the story.
And you didn't think DC did that?
Uncle Ben died. Yes, his death became the catalyst for one of our greatest superheroes. But Uncle Ben died.
Yeah.
can't get Uncle Ben back.
Well,
You know what I mean?
Batman,
When they reinvented the X-Men to fight the Living Island.
Krakoa,
That's right. You know, we had John Brownstar. We had who else? Who else did we have on that team?
Shiro.
Sunfire.
Mm-hmm.
Right. He just quit. He didn't die. He just quit. John Brownstar died.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he died like in the first mission.
Yes, he did. Yes,
And
he did.
Banshee came. Remember Banshee?
Banshee was there for a minute. He left. Him and
Mm-hmm.
Moira, decided they liked each other.
Mm-hmm.
They took off.
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler was there. He faded out.
No,
So,
Nightcrawler hung around.
I mean, he stayed as far as the team was concerned. I say faded out. I didn't mean as far as faded into non-existence. Faded into the background, into the fabric of the team. I should say it that way, because they were weeding out people. They were kind of sort of they had this fabulous new team of people. Some of the powers were duplicated. They didn't know what to do with all of them. All peoples was represented. All peoples and powers was represented, but it was a glut. And so tragedy had to strike, and tragedy struck John Brownstar, I think somebody else, but they had other people.
Well, Phoenix. Did you know?
Her tragedy was a little different. She was sneaking out at night, destroying planets. Nobody knew that was going on with her.
Did you know that they're bringing back the original actor that played a Nightcrawler in the original X-Men movies? They're bringing him back for the Doom War thing or something. Yeah, they're bringing him back for the Doom War.
Yeah, Doomsday, they call it.
Is it? Because I know there's one where they're fighting on they're fighting together, and then I feel like there's two. There's one movie, one standalone, and then there's gonna be one that's gonna be like a two-parter, Battle World or something like that.
Maybe, yeah, possibly. That's very possible.
Yes,
possible. I might run into other Marvel characters in there. That'd be a great place.
Well, a lot of the X-Men. I know Ian McKellen is coming back. What's his name? The Picard. Patrick Stewart.
They're bringing back everybody who ain't dead.
Well, not every. They've only announced like Cyclops, Jean Grey, Professor X, Magneto, Nightcrawler.
Come on back, and they're like, okay.
Well, some of those people are doing bigger and better things. They probably ain't paying them enough to come back. I mean, they keep some stuff secret too. I'm sure, probably. There's probably people that are coming and hopefully they don't give it away in the damn trailers. Because I hate when they
had to give you some big stuff.
Yeah, but don't give us everything in the damn trailer. I hate when they do that. I think they just tell too much in the trailers, man. I mean, I feel like I already know what's gonna happen before I even see the damn movie because they don't give away everything in the trailer. Let there be some surprise if I'm going there. I'm paying $20. I'm paying $20. At least let me be shocked, a little bit of surprise.
Well, so far, let's see. Like I said again, I wish that Marvel Comics, or I wish that Disney. You have to say it like that now. I wish that Disney would take a look at Marvel Comics catalog once again. Get somebody down there, who's read a few of these books, read a few of these stories, and rather than doing Moon Knight and what was the other one?
I like Moon Knight.
Kraven the Hunter. Don't get me wrong. Like I said again, I'm not denigrating these characters. These are not major characters. In the comics, when these characters were introduced, they were, by the way, Kraven the Hunter was a second or third tier villain to Spider-Man. He knocked around. Kraven the Hunter was never Spider-Man's second worst, third worst, fourth worst villain.
But he did kill him, at one point. Yet
he's got a film.
Well, he killed him.
I don't understand the logic behind it. I guess that's where I am.
That's Sony. Don't blame that on Disney. That has nothing to do with this. That's Sony. That's Sony.
Okay. We'll give them that. Not Disney.
That's Sony.
But they should do more. They should do more with the catalog. Like I say, there's a heritage that they're not even dealing with.
Well, blame Sony because they wanna.
We just start getting to the Fantastic Four.
Well, they had to get the rights back. They had to get the rights.
I was not mad. I'm gonna tell you something. I was not mad at the first two Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah, they were good. I liked them.
I liked them.
Yeah, they were good.
mad about that Galactus cloud. What the hell was that?
Yeah.
Then we get the big T's, right? There were the horns, the shadow. I was so man. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Why do you mean doing this? So anyway, so there was that. That was a big letdown. But,
Yeah.
and of course, they had to bring back Galactus in this one. It's like, oh yeah, we got built in that one. We really did. That third installment of the Fantastic Four. What was that all about?
Well, I mean, it to me it looked to me like they didn't have enough money to really do the movie that they really wanted to do. It's not as bad as the Inhumans. The Inhumans really look like they didn't have a budget at all.
Oh, again, good characters. And what was that? What is y'all doing? Right. It's a Black Bolt. Oh God.
You know what? At least he survived and came back in the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it's
man.
and got
Wow.
killed and like it was nothing. I mean, she killed Black Bolt and Mr. Fantastic. Like, what the hell, Mr. Fantastic, the smartest man in the world, and he going to try to confront. He didn't have no weapons or nothing. I mean, that just didn't make any sense to me. Reed Richards is a genius. He would have had something prepared to fight her.
Or at least the knowledge that I'll survive this.
He would have had some kind of weapon. He would not have faced her without something. Because come on, Reed Richards. Come on now. What he gonna do against somebody that power level, that stretch around them?
Yeah, the ultimate nullifier. Where's that when you need it?
Yeah, because he's like Batman. Reed Richards has a contingency plan for everything.
I need some stuff.
He
Right?
will have
I got some stuff.
he will have a contingency plan
Right.
for the contingency plan for that contingency plan for that contingency plan.
He's always thinking.
Because he's a thinker. In the comic books, there's the ultimate Mr. Fantastic is like a major villain. He destroyed the Ultimate Universe. Him and Miles Morales are the only people that survived. But now they brought back the Ultimate Universe, and I've been reading Ultimate Black Panther. They have a new Ultimate Black Panther. They have the new Ultimates. They have what is it they have now? Damn it, it's a new Weapon X. But like Wolverine is kind of like, I guess he's kind of psycho. But I like that they have their like a alternate universe, because they can do other things with the characters, and maybe it'd be a good way to introduce new people that don't read all the continuity and get because it's so much. It's a lot of stuff that they retcon or they just don't talk about.
They can use the alternate universe to mention to introduce them all to some of these characters that we're talking about now. Some of these old school, some of these old, from the 70s, from the 60s and 70s. Some of these books that were very popular back then. They had a good run. They had great artists and great stories. But again, like I say, to bring Killraven out of nowhere and make him a star is very, very counter Marvel to me. Marvel populated their universe with all kinds of characters. But if you're looking for a space opera, if you're looking for an adventure, if you're looking for the next franchise, they're rife with them. The Marvel catalog is rife with them. Great storylines, great characters, battles, prejudices, all that stuff.
Write a spec script, man. Write a spec script and send it to them.
I don't have time.
You can use that AI program to help you write a script. Come on now.
I do not have time.
It will do the work for you. I mean, literally. People keep telling me about it.
I don't have the time to invest in it.
Could be the next big thing.
It could be, but again, I'm not going to commit to it. I'm not going to sit here with you and go, and I know that I'm just going to, when we get off here, I'm going to go lay down.
Well, I told you I told you about my fan film I want to do, right?
Yes.
$6 million man.
I'm your boy.
I want to figure out. I got to figure out because the guy I want to direct it is getting ready to move out of town. So I gotta hurry up and try to come up with something, because he getting ready to move out of town. He about to sell his studio. Because he has a studio downtown, this huge space, and he's not really able to make ends meet, and the rent is so high. So he's about to leave. He's about to bounce. He's talking about leaving the country. So
this is what LA has done to the filmmaking industry in LA. They price themselves out of it.
I agree, because people leave.
To other cities.
Yeah.
And in the movie, they're calling it LA.
We used to have a lot of incentives here, man. I don't think we have those
I
anymore.
don't know what happened to all of that because this was supposed to be the filming mecca, and you do see some here, but most of it's gone.
I noticed
In
that.
other cities, most of it's in
You used to
Atlanta.
see people filming all the time. You
Yeah,
don't. You don't anymore.
you don't see it.
No.
You see the trucks. You see the trucks traveling on the freeway, but they're not filming in L.A.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
going someplace else. They're going to San Diego or someplace.
Or they in their
You know,
studio, or they in their studio
or a
lot.
studio. A lot, yeah, like
Yeah,
a piece of property someplace. Where it's
yeah,
not where it used to be.
yeah. It's so
Well,
crazy.
and I heard they were talking. Oh, we want to do all we can to lower the taxes and bring the film industry back to Los Angeles. I'm like, how would you lose the film industry and they live in your house? How does that happen? How does that happen? How do you lose first pick?
Well, I heard
Hey
that.
guys, don't go anywhere. Here, we'll make it comfortable for you. Here, let me give you a nice comfy seat. You don't have to go anywhere.
I
They
heard
saw
that.
this coming. Politicians, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Bosses,
That's what I
whatever.
heard. They changed the.
And that's what he wanted. Yeah, they changed the tax code and they start passing on to the film industry. The film industry, like, whoa. Everybody else is getting us to pay less to show up and do this. You're asking for more. No thanks. So it was worth their while to film someplace else. That's big money, man. When you think about that.
Yeah, it is, and but it's money that.
It's cheap to film someplace else than where you're based. Wow.
Well, I really
Something
wanted.
wrong.
I really wanted to base my series in Detroit. I was going to Detroit a lot, and and I haven't been back since 2018 because I went
Sorry.
2018. I went and somebody went. Did I tell you what happened? I went and somebody like went in my friend's car and took my all my luggage and stuff. Oh my god, ruined my trip.
Gosh.
Yeah, I went there for a little birthday getaway, and we were out. We were walking around enjoying the because it was a big. We happened to go on a weekend. It was a Comic Con, a big car show, and an African festival, all in the same weekend. So we go back to the car, and we go back home, and I open the car. I'm looking for my backpack. I'm like, what the hell? Now I had like one of those big sporting hiking. So I had packed everything in there, all my clothes,
Right.
my
All that
laptop,
stuff.
everything.
Wow, man.
And yeah, and I was so freaking mad. They ended up catching the guy. They caught him, and they.
Every stuff.
No, I did not get anything back. They sent me a check for $250, which was amazing because usually if you don't have insurance, you don't get nothing.
Wow.
So they did me a solid, But I used to go to Detroit a lot, and it was like my getaway. But since that happened, it's just gotten so crazy now, man. It's like sometimes I feel like I need to get some Iron Man armor just to walk down the street. I need to make.
Streets, man. Yeah, it's
to-
weird. Well, it's kind of a weird time if you're. It's a weird time for everybody. It's an even weirder time for black and brown people.
Yeah.
Again, it's like we went through this once before, and we survived it. Now we're walking down the streets, and we don't know who's following us. We don't know who thinks we're this or that, or and my Hispanic brothers and sisters, they ain't even coming out of the house. You know what I mean? It's like they're like, whoa. My papers are in Washington, but they ain't waiting on papers no more. It's like, so many of us are, so many of them are not documented. Let's be honest. But the way this is being done, it's scary. It's freaky. There's not. It's the letter of the law, not the spirit of the law, but the letter of the law. You're guilty, so you gotta get out. Like, whoa, wait a minute, what happened to the.
It's like in the X-Men, they come after the
citizenship
they
angle,
it's like in the X-Men, they come after the mutants. The Sentinels are flying around getting people. It feels like that. They just.
It does. It really does. It's like only these people, they scan you to make sure you're not one of them. It's like, wait a minute, hang on a second. That's not good. Yeah, that's a profiling that's going, and that's what it is. It's profiling. They're picking up people that don't belong to be that they're considered to be picked up just because of what they look like. They've had to let them go. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, guys. What are we doing here?
My sister told me, she said you need to make sure you have your ID on you because you look like you Mexican. I'm like,
Yeah, well, listen, man, listen, and that's what makes it so dangerous and so stupid because black people are all color. We're all colors. We're all colors. We look white, some of us. You know what I mean? We look Mexican, some of us. They got. Listen, you ever been down to Liberty City in Miami Beach?
I think
Liberty City.
I think I did. I was there one time. I went there during the spring break. I think.
Liberty City, the people are this black and they speak nothing but Spanish.
Hmm.
Okay, I turned the corner down in Liberty City, walked up to a brother, man had an little necklace. I said, hey man, they tell me I'm trying to get to the Fountain Blue Hotel, man. I got lost. I got to turn around. The man started speaking Spanish. I was like, yeah, just as nappy. This was a black dude. This man was black. However, he was from Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah, I figured.
He speaks Spanish.
Yeah, I figured
You know,
Cuba.
down in Liberty City, it might as well be little Cuba. But the whole point was, here's a person who did not look like he sounded. I did not expect that. You know, so good Lord. You know, it's like I said, it's a very, very scary time. It is. It really is.
What is that in your background? What's going on with your background? Is that like I'm trying to figure out?
It's my chair. It's my background, but it's dancing off my chair.
No. What is that? What is it though? What is it in your background?
That's the Sun King. That's one of the characters that I did. One of my animated characters that I did in the cartoon.
Okay, I was like,
Yeah,
are they?
that's the Sun King. That's let's see if I can go out of the way so you can see it. You can see it a little more clearly.
So what did you use? Like what program did you use to get that in your background?
Just look, they provide one. This Google thing.
Really?
Background. Yeah, click background. Here it is right here. Little thing. Backgrounds and effects.
Because I have.
We change it right now if I needed to. You have it. You should
I
have it.
I have. I mean, I guess I gotta look and see what else they have to offer. Because like they have like offices and like different scenes and they add.
But what they did was this one. They let me upload something from my computer.
Oh, okay. You put your own. Okay, I'm trying to because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. I
I
gotta.
didn't use their stuff. They said or can I was like, oh, go to photos. So I went to photos together.
Okay, I gotta figure out how to do that. You got me. You got to bring me up on game.
It's point and click, brother. It's point and click. It ain't that bad. Trust me, I am not. I'm not that one. You know
Well,
what I mean?
Comic Con, LA Comic Con is coming up, and I mentioned that to you before. You gotta go. We gotta go, man.
We gotta go.
I'm telling you, you gotta. I'm gonna find out. As a matter of fact, since I got you as a captive audience right now, let me check. Let me check right now before we go, because I know we're gonna run out of time in any minute. We're gonna
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there.
Does it say? Did you get
Hasn't
a?
said anything yet. Hasn't said anything yet, which is unusual because it usually starts talking to me right about now.
Well, better than just cutting off abruptly.
Yeah.
Yeah, with no warning.
Now wait.
LA Comic Con 2025. It is September 25th, 26th, and 28th. So that'll be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Great. So Friday evening I'll be there. Saturday all day Saturday. You know, be wonderful.
So you want to go for 2 days?
No, just one. Saturday's good.
Well, Friday. I mean, so Friday's not good for you.
No, because I know that I'm going to be busy Friday. This is a very, very rare Friday. I didn't go anywhere today because we usually do a food drive with my church, and it happens every Thursday and Friday. And that Thursdays and Fridays are days that I don't plan anything for because I know that I'm going to do that.
All day?
So that's all day.
Cause I'm trying to think. Cause I work on Saturdays, so I usually try to do extra stuff on Thursdays and Fridays.
I understand, and I don't hold anybody to my schedule. I do not.
Well, I want you to go though, like on a date.
Oh, I'd love to go, but like I say, it would have to be Friday. Like I say, it would have to be Friday evenings because I'm committed to Fridays until 5 o'clock. Like
Yeah, we can go after 5. We can go after 5.
Exactly, go down there and hang out.
Yeah, and then and then I'll probably go again. Maybe I'll go on Saturday. Maybe I'll go on Saturday again. But depends on, because sometimes they have like different events. Like certain days they may have like a panel. They might have a Marvel panel, and then they might have They might have a special Jurassic Park panel or something. You never know.
It'd be fun. Yeah.
Oh, you know there's a new Jurassic Park coming out, right?
Yes, there is. There is. They milked that cow till it's just about.
Yeah, the last one was just the last one was
When
just.
when you mentioned Jurassic Park, my mind went to the very first time I watched Jurassic Park, and it was phenomenal because it wasn't kaiju. It wasn't kaiju.
Mhm.
They were living, breathing, and as a kid, one of the other things that I was getting into,
Dinosaurs.
dinosaurs.
Mhm.
You know, so Jurassic Park was another wow thing for me. Right along with the Marvel comics that were being produced. Marvel comics movies that were being produced.
Well, let me ask you
So
something. Let me ask you something. Have you seen?
yes,
Have you watched the Jurassic Park on Netflix? The show is called the Cretaceous. It's called Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous.
yeah, the animated thing. No,
Oh my God! It's remember in the fourth movie, which was like it's kind of like a soft reboot of the series, where the lady, I guess they thought they thought the dinosaur had escaped, and they opened the damn gate and it got out and it was like a mutant kind of big. You didn't see the T Rex had to come and
yeah,
fight at the end.
yes,
Well,
yes. I remember that. Yeah,
the cartoon, the animated series, it actually takes place in that time period when they evacuated the island. There was a bunch of kids that got left behind and they didn't get on the ferry and they were stranded. So they
so
had,
that's where they.
yeah, so the kids and the the Asian guy, I think the Asian doctor, I think he shows up. Wong, the actor, he looks like he never ages. He's in all the
D.D. Wong,
yeah. I
yeah.
think he shows up in a cameo. But yeah, there's a group of kids and there's like 4 seasons. The season 4 just I think season 4 started earlier this
Huh.
year, but it's really good, man, and people actually get eaten, and I'm shocked when it happens because
Yeah, that's unusual for an animated series or something like that because you'd think animated would be more kids watching them, or a younger audience.
yeah,
But it's Jurassic Park. You should go into you should again. There are some things that you should expect from certain movies and certain characters
yeah,
and certain things.
people get eaten.
Wolverine is not a nice guy. He's gonna cut you. He's gonna cuss you out and then cut you if you keep talking to him. So we expect that from him. Cyclops, very tight-lipped, very very uptight, very responsibility for leadership of the X-Men. We expect that from the character. We expect that stiffness. With some of these other characters, I just do that. I expand my screen and they do that.
What happened?
I would. My screen expanded and did a thing.
Mine did too.
That was weird.
Did-
Now you're off center, bro. I don't see you. You're not sitting in the middle of your thing there.
You can't see me though, right?
There we go. Yeah, I can see you.
I had
can see
to.
like 3/4 of your face.
I had to go and edit. When I made the screen, I cut off like my window, so I had to like make sure I stay. And then I realized that when we had been talking for a little minute. We've been talking for a few minutes. I was like, wait a minute. I'm only seeing like I was like,
There you go.
yeah. Oh, you can see me now completely.
Oh, completely.
Oh, you mean and now
Yes, you were.
and now?
And now you're. This is what I see. This is what I see.
Excuse me.
God bless you.
Whew, it's my allergies. I guess I gotta take another one
And I'm
of those.
thinking you were seeing a different view, because camera angles and camera angles, this and that. I didn't know what you might have been looking at.
Yeah, I had to resize my window because in my window, I'm only seeing like if I don't move over here like this,
You don't see yourself now?
I just see like my shoulder and my ear. It's being
Are you
it's
kidding me?
yeah.
Now you're full screen.
But that's
Now,
what
for me,
yeah.
you're right in the middle of your screen right now.
Well, my screen is only recording like my shoulder, so I have to move
Wow.
over. I have to move over into this.
That's why you're sitting over. That's odd, man. That's so strange.
Yeah, I gotta
Placement, or what is that?
I gotta make the window, but I can't do it when it's already recording.
Oh no.
Yeah,
You can't do
so I have to. Yeah, that's why I've been like.
But that's odd. I figured that you had to be getting a different view, because you've been consistently right there.
So right now, what are you seeing?
Right now, you're closer to the center than you've been. Right now,
All right, right now.
and right now you're further away. You're almost out of the picture. You're one half right here.
That's
Now,
really something.
now you're all the way in. It's like I'm sitting right in front.
And your screen went weird again. Now, you don't have a game. You have a PC though. Obviously, you got what
Yes.
you got. What do you have? Is it like a Mac or a regular Windows PC or?
Those are Windows PCs. Yeah, Intel Core i5. It's a Asus model. I chose Asus because it's a very very powerful computer, and that gamers use it.
Really, you have a gaming PC?
Yeah, I'm not a gamer, but I wanted the power and I wanted the memory. So I am not. I have to admit that I'm not a gamer.
When's the last
I'm
time
a
you?
gamer computer because I wanted the power and I wanted, like I said, I wanted the memory.
When's the last time you actually played a video game?
My game. That's the last game I played. The one, the one I helped produce. That's it. That's the last one.
You should try Midnight Suns, Marvel Midnight Suns, because it's got Blade in it. It's all the magical characters. Blade, Magic from the X-Men. Magic, Colossus' sister.
Yes.
You got Wolverine and Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and even Iron Man. I mean, yes, they threw in some mainstream characters to make. I think they did that
And to flesh it out.
to really, to maybe draw in like people, because I mean the magical characters are interesting, but to the mainstream, I call them the normies. The normies probably don't really know much about, because they're like
Right.
a lot of magical characters. And you talk about obscure characters. Do you remember Isaac from the Defenders, the gargoyle guy from the old
Yes.
Defenders?
Yes, I do. Yes, I
They don't do. They just. I mean, and remember Nighthawk?
I do.
He could only walk at night or something like that. He had super strength, and he could. Yeah, he was in. He was in a wheelchair, and then at night he could actually get up and walk around. He was super strong.
He had powers. Yeah, at night.
And Hellcat, remember Hellcat?
I do remember Hellcat. Yes, there. Any number of different characters that Marvel has brought through. It always was known as they called themselves a house of ideas, but not for nothing.
Well, I think DC. I think Disney is just like taking the characters that they think are marketable. Do you remember the Demon Slayer?
They are. That's the reason why. I'm sorry. Say it again.
Do you remember Demon Slayer?
Yes. Do you remember Deathlock?
Yeah, of course. I used to like him. And they had him on Agents of Shield. And along with Ghost Rider.
And Agents of Shield was pretty deep.
I loved Agents of Shield, man. It was so bittersweet when it ended. I mean, it was, they had to end it, but I mean, it was just kind of bittersweet, and he got in the car at the end and he flew away. Coulson got in the car, and I just felt my heart was just like,
we felt for Coulson because Coulson was cold and yet he wasn't cold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was
yeah.
This guy was just doing his job. We love Coulson.
Yeah.
It's like, what was so funny was Pepper's relationship with Coulson. She was like, "Hey, how you doing?" He was like, "His name is Agent. His first name is Agent." You know what I mean? What do you use this guy? So it introduced us to Coulson as a real person. He had a girlfriend he couldn't keep. The whole 9 yards. You know what I mean? Everything's beautiful.
Do you remember? The Inhumans were being introduced on Agents of Shield, and they just kind of like, and one of the main characters ended up being a bad guy, a major bad guy. Remember Ward? He ended up being like a major bad guy. And then they killed off the brother from that was like related to one of Captain America's one of his it was he was played in the first Captain America movie. There was a character played by Derek Luke. Remember Derek Luke? He played in that movie Antoine Fisher, the movie.
Yeah.
He was the guy. There was a black guy on Agents of Shield in like the first season, maybe the first 2 seasons. He was a black guy, really dark skinned brother. He was he was a descendant. He was a descendant of I'm not. Well, there was a dark skinned brother, and then there was a light skinned brother who kind of reminded me of The Rock, who ended up becoming a major character later on.
Okay, I don't remember him.
Yeah, there was a bald headed dark skinned brother. There's a bald headed dark skinned brother that was he was related to the Derek Luke character that was in the Captain America movie. So I was surprised that they killed him off. They killed him off after like 2 seasons. And they brought Deathlock was played by the guy I keep remembering his name, but he used to play on Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Angel. Charles
Oh, oh,
something.
oh, 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 oh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're
yeah,
talking about. Man,
yeah.
there are all kinds. There are any number of great characters that they haven't gotten into yet. That you and I are sitting here naming. But again, some of the characters that they've chosen, it's like. But again, I'm not the guy with the money. So there you go. I'm just a fan. No, seriously, I think you should listen to more fans. And I know that the fans are overwhelmingly for or against a thing or whatever. I'm not quite sure that the fans are 100% behind Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom.
Yeah,
I,
I agree.
I don't think that I don't think there's some are, but you're going to see more of their comments than you're going to see the other comments. I think by and large, most of us said, well, that was convenient, and then the rest of us are like, well, wait a minute, what about all these other guys who could be doomed? Because that's what I thought. I thought Mads Mikkelsen. I thought too. Well, Mads Mikkelsen was the first one who came to
He was
mind.
in Doctor Strange though. I mean, it would be weird having him
Yeah,
play a different.
we
He
would have
was.
to do that, but it's not like it's never happened. It's not like it's never happened.
I
It's
mean,
happened.
Josh Brolin he played Cable, and then he also played Thanos.
Thanos, so it happened. Hey, come on. Chris Evans, Human Torch,
Yeah,
Captain America. So
yeah,
it happened. Now
yeah,
they're trying to do it again with Robert. And Chris Evans pulled off both parts. I
yeah,
took the cap to him because he pulled off both parts quite well.
yeah, yeah. I liked him.
As the Human Torch, he was sufficiently brash and clueless, and as Captain America, he was sufficiently spit and polish.
Yeah.
So and he did both very well. Hats off to Chris Evans.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, the lazy casting. I'm not gonna let you guys get away with it. I'll keep saying it.
Did
Just
you
pick somebody else.
did you
They
get
should have.
did you get teary eyed at the end of Endgame when he said Avengers assemble? Did you jump out of your chair and like
Yeah, we were all like, yes.
he should have yelled it though? Why didn't he yell it?
We had people leaving the theater in tears. Listen, after the wink, after people we left, people were like, one and there's one and my wife remembers one old white lady. She walked out. She was one old white lady. She says, "That ain't right. That just ain't right." This is her reaction as she's walking out of the theater. After this is not Endgame, but this is after the blink. This is after Thanos does his thing.
Oh, what Thor didn't properly dispatch him like he should have.
Yeah,
Why did he throw the damn axe at his chest?
because he's human. Again, emotions, idiocy. Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Because he sure got it right in Endgame when they went to the planet and tracked him down.
Yeah.
Because they were like, I was shocked. They were like, "What do you do?" And he was like, "I went for the head." It's just like out of nowhere. He's just,
Yeah. Like, what?
I was like, "What the?"
Oh, Jesus, it's over.
And I was shocked that they actually showed that. That was like some Highlander, like
Yeah.
they're doing another Highlander, right?
Yes.
They just announced that Russell Crowe is going to be in the movie just today. Yeah,
What's he gonna do?
maybe he'll play the role that Sean Connery did.
You're gonna have to slim down a bit, Ross.
Yeah.
Have to slim down a bit.
Yeah,
He's been eating good, and he's been living good, and he hasn't been doing much.
yeah,
This is what happens to our heroes.
Yeah.
This ain't the same fire plug that we saw in Gladiator.
because I was watching that. I actually was watching that the other day, man, and I was like, that. I still think that movie's perfect. That movie's just the score, everything. Yeah,
Tremendous.
the score is
Awesome
just
movie.
and the score.
And he should have won the Academy Award for supporting actor.
But they got a lot. They got like 9 or 11 nominations, right? Was it?
Yeah, but why is his name the Joker? My boy.
Oh yeah, I hated him. I one day. Whew.
Excellent.
What the?
It was excellent.
And I saw that in the theaters. I saw that in the theaters when it came out. And I
I think, hey, did we see Gladiator in the theaters? She's not listening. I don't remember if we saw it in the theaters or not. But yeah, he should have won that award. He should have.
yeah.
He should have. I don't remember who won it that year, but I was like, this guy's I hate him.
Joaquin, right?
Joaquin
Joaquin.
Phoenix, yes,
Ooh, I
yes.
just wanted.
Joaquin Phoenix.
He's just as bad as Jeffrey in the Game of Thrones. I just want to just.
Yes,
Ooh, I
he's
want to
sort of
just.
squeezing him until his ears pop,
Ooh,
until his
just.
brain squeezes out.
Ooh, I
Yes,
want to just.
which
Ugh.
tells you that this is a great actor. You know
Ugh.
what I mean? You
Whew.
hate this guy for real.
Ugh.
He made you do it.
Just with a
And
passion. I just hate him with a
Joaquin
passion.
Phoenix was that way. He
Ugh.
was just that way. You
Heartless
know,
bastard.
the way he played it, the way he's, you know, the way he stabbed him. You know, he cheated him, stabbed him. You know, so he could have the advantage. He still couldn't beat him. You know, it's like, this guy. You know, great stuff though. Great stuff. Great villain. That's what makes a movie. You gotta have a great villain. Doctor Doom was a great villain, but the guys playing Doctor Doom was not gonna. Sorry.
Well, you never know. They might be tricking us. You
I
never
think
know.
that's the reason why the first Fantastic Four movies failed. The first two, I discount the third one as like still
Yeah.
realistic. You know, the thing with no drawers. It's like, what was that? Anyway.
Did you like the guy that played Doctor Doom in the first couple of Fantastic Four movies?
No, I didn't like what they did with Doom. They screwed. That's what I was about to say. Without a good villain, the movies failed. Those two movies failed because Doctor Doom was not Doctor Doom. He was a failed businessman. They mentioned Latveria in passing. This guy ran his own country.
Yeah.
He was a warlock, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Half of Europe was afraid of him.
The actor's good though.
So what they did, I don't think that the actor couldn't have pulled it off. I'm not saying that.
Remember from Charmed? He was from Charmed. He was a bad guy on Charmed. He was Alyssa Milano's boyfriend.
He could have done it.
Yeah, he was. He could. He should have.
They made Doom a failed businessman. They didn't give Doom any of the sinister. They didn't give him any of the smoke. They didn't give Doom any of his character. Come on, Doctor Doom's a warlock. This dude, he's an alchemist. You know, his science is weird science. It's forbidden science. You know, the Doom bots, all this kind of stuff. They ignored all of that.
Julian McMahon. That was his name. Julian McMahon.
And, yeah.
Julian McMahon. I liked him too. I really liked him.
They could have done it, but they made, like I said, they made the Doom character. They made him much lesser than he was.
Yeah, he's supposed to be. Doom is. I think he's OP sometimes, though. I mean, in the comic books.
Oh, he's turned into something because he got affected by gamma rays too. That was crap.
Well, you know, in the comic books, he is now the Sorcerer Supreme in the comics.
I don't doubt it.
Because Doctor Strange, he tricked Doctor Strange. He tricked Doctor Strange into giving him the mantle because he helped Doctor Strange and the Avengers fight the vampire invasion and return for giving him the Montesi. For return, he gave them the Montesi. You know the Montesi formula?
Yes.
It kills all the vampires. He gave Doctor Strange the formula, but in return he asked for this mantle of Sorcerer Supreme. So he's now, now he's dealing with Dormammu though, and like basically was getting his ass kicked. But I think he got amped somehow recently. So, but they have the it's called World Under Doom, and it's the big ongoing storyline. Doom made his own Avengers team. I mean, yeah, he's running everything now. He's literally got all the world leaders to come together and cooperate. And the Avengers went and tried to like attack because they thought he was brain controlling everybody, but it wasn't. He just basically got rid of a lot of problems that all the nations were having.
He talked him into it, and his authoritarian rule cleaned things up.
He followed through with what he said he was going to do.
Again, okay, but again, why did they ignored that in the first two movies? They did not make Doom the business, the diplomat, the government runner, you know, the man of power. They didn't do that. He was a failed. He was in trouble. Doom's never been in trouble like that from another guy. Come on.
Well,
I mean, he wound up belting his guns, but at the same time, the whole premise of Doctor Doom failed for me in those first two movies. That's why the movies failed.
Didn't Luke Cage beat him up in the comic books one time because he owed him money? Yeah, he's always talking about where's my money at, and I think he owes Dracula owes Moon Knight money, but yeah, I think Doctor Doom owes Luke Cage money. Yeah, because Dracula owes Moon Knight money. It's like a joke. They even mention it in the video game, the new video game.
Really?
So yeah, there's a game now that's popular. It's called Marvel Rivals, and Moon Knight says something about Dracula owing him money. Cause like, have you played? You man, you got to
Again, no, I gotta get into the game.
Marvel Rivals is pretty awesome, man. You got all these. You got like freaking almost 50 characters now. They even they just added the Fantastic Four. And you can get like the wedding. You can get him. Get Reed Richards dressed in his tuxedo, and Sue is got on her gown, her wedding gown and everything. You can get those outfits. It's just kind of weird running around fighting in a wedding dress, but I guess people will buy those cosmetics, for the characters. And I'm still waiting for them to add Blade because the game came out in November, and Blade has been mentioned. We've seen him being held captive in a room in the game, but we fought off a vampire invasion, and Blade. It just feels really weird that Blade wasn't a character that we could actually play as, and you can even play as a vampire Black Panther, and his costume is all like he's got like armor, this weird kind of red, white armor, and because he actually in the comic books, the vampires actually took over the world basically, and the Avengers got their asses kicked, and Blade got turned to a vampire. Well, I mean, not Blade, but Blade turned Miles Morales into a vampire, and the Black Panther got turned to a vampire, and they had.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
They had Thor strapped up and bleeding into like these cups and glasses so they could advance, and the blood was making them. They were already like mega power vampires, but
of course,
there was blood.
You get the mortal blood.
They were amped up. They were amped, and the Black Panther teleported Captain America, Sam Wilson, away before the vampires because he was like, you need to survive because you give hope to everybody else.
Somebody got right.
So it was Blade's daughter, and Miles Morales ended up having to defeat Blade. He got possessed. Blade got possessed by Varney, who's like the first vampire supposedly. So it took. The only thing that could destroy him, he said it had to be my own blood. So the reason why Blade, I guess on a subconscious level, Blade was fighting the vampire possession. So he knew if he bit Miles Morales and turned him into a vampire, then him and his daughter, Blade's daughter, whatever her name is, Bloodline, the two of them, because they help, his daughter has his blood, and Miles Morales was sired by him. They together had to defeat. Yeah, they had. So Blade has got a lot of. He just kind of like went into hiding, I guess, because he literally unleashed millions of vampires on the world and betrayed the Avengers. But like I said, he was brainwashed. He was controlled. But like, how do you forgive something like that? It's just like the Winter Soldier. Everybody's like mad because they didn't make Winter Soldier, the new, Captain America in the movies. I'm like, he killed a lot of people when he was controlled.
Yeah, he couldn't do that. And there were different reasons. There were a lot of reasons why Steve Rogers did what he did. Because the first time it was the same thing. I was like, he didn't give it to Bucky? And it was like, well, he couldn't give it. And second thought, well, he really couldn't give it to Bucky, could he? Bucky's still wanted by the authorities.
And he still might be a little
right. Bucky can't be trusted, So he gave it to Sam Wilson. Why did he give it to? Two reasons why he gave it to Sam Wilson. And I think one reason I don't think people thought about it. It just came to me as I watched the Brave New World.
Well, we're waiting.
The first super soldier was black.
Well, you think he might be? Well,
Before Steve Rogers. He knows Sam Wilson. He knows the heart of Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson proved himself to be a friend and a confidant and everything else, and a brother and everything else. Okay, through his recovery, through his coming back, through all of it. They trained together. They became very, very close. You could tell. I love the line Sam uses later on. I think in the next movie, he said, "I do what he does, just slower." You know what I mean? It's like we're together.
I think he will get the formula. I think he will get powers late eventually. I think
he's debating it. He's thinking about it now.
I think it might actually happen in one of the new movies. I think something's gonna happen.
In this movie, he's like, shit, I should have took the serum. You know what I mean?
He's gonna get hurt really badly.
Like the Red Hulk, and he's like, I need more.
He's gonna get hurt really badly, and they're gonna probably give him a blood transfusion from what's his name, from Bradley. I think, because in the comic books they did something like that. with one of the other characters.
That
Bradley.
was the reason, but that's like I was saying. That you said that got me back to what I was saying. And that was the other reason. He knows Sam Wilson, so he knows that Sam Wilson would make an excellent Captain America because of his character. But I think he also gave it to him because the first super soldier was black, and he's basically tipping the cap to that legacy. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Captain America was not the first. He was and he wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was the first super soldier, but he got lost. The first black super soldier was, a huge success in Korea, and then they turned on him. Well, why is you super? How come so many other people, couldn't do it and you can? Are you related to Steve Rogers at all? And Steve Rogers was one of a kind too. Now we've got two of a kind. So they, like you said, they experimented on the whole time they're in prison.
I hate it.
Experimented on it because they couldn't understand why it took with him.
I hated that he killed that. What's his name? The bad guy killed all those other super soldiers. He just shot them. They couldn't even do nothing. They were just in a chamber. Yeah. Can't they heal? Don't they have a healing factor?
Well, I don't think so because they were like a dormant stage then.
That's just messed up.
They were unconnected then or disconnected then. So it was like boom, boom, 6 guys in the head.
That's just so. It was so messed up. I was so mad when I saw it. I was mad.
Wow. It was just a man. But again, Marvel was played with reality, the brutal reality that people will kill you. That these people are crazy. DC began to get that when they started introducing characters like the Joker. Because at first it was a lot of fun, and early Batman was the detective. When he was the detective, the Dark Knight,
Mm-hmm.
Batman was better. DC started Bob Kane and DC started in a direction with Batman, and the newest Batman movie with Robert Pattinson,
Mm-hmm.
I think has recaptured that tone.
I love that movie.
They've highlighted the detective. They've highlighted the fact that he walks in, he's not allowed. One cop speaks for him. He's with me. He walks in and immediately takes apart what these guys have done, what these other guys have done, because he is a true detective. He's a real one. He's looking for stuff you guys ain't looking for. He's already thinking. He walks in, his mind is already working. So it was amazing to see Robert Pattinson do that, because that's the Batman that I like, the detective.
Well,
the Dark Knight.
the word on the street is that the director has to turn in the script by the 23rd of this month for the next one. That's the
Really?
word on the street. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see.
It's tight, but I tell you what, they took that one in a good direction.
Well, it's been years.
As many times as we've seen this character.
How many? What year did that movie come out? It's been years. It's been like three or 4 years, right?
This new Batman?
Yeah, the last one was like 2020, right? Was it 2020 or 2019?
2022 or something. This is a newer one.
Yeah.
With Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Batman is the name, right?
And people were really resisting him. They didn't really think he was going to do a good job.
Yeah.
But that movie was something else.
The movie was good. Out of curiosity, I watched it because it's in the Batman. That was the way.
I
22.
I sat down and I was shocked because the movie's almost like 3 hours long, and I watched it all the way through. And I'm really I was debating on going to see Mission Impossible today. I was like, no, that movie's like 3 hours long. I don't know if I can sit in the theater for 3 hours. I mean, I could see. I could watch it on home.
This movie was 3 hours. I didn't know it.
What was 3 hours?
One of the Avengers movies was Endgame 3 hours.
Yeah, I think that was 3 hours.
I
Yeah,
didn't know it.
yeah. And the Lord of the Rings. They actually had they released all of those movies. You could go and it was you could continuous the first three they had a 6 hour. It was a 6 hour thing. Yeah. Peter Jackson is.
Batman ventures into Gotham City's underworld with sadistic killer leaves behind a trail of cryptic clues. And that's the thing. He's the detective again. He has to be.
Well, Clayface is going to be getting his own movie, and it's going to be like a straight up horror. And it looks really creepy because he looks like some kind of monster made out of mud or something. If you see I saw like some I guess like a promo poster or something. But at Penguin, I got to finish watching the Penguin because that's good. I watched the first few episodes on HBO Max, and I resubscribed so I could finish it, and I got to finish Game of Thrones and all that. I'm trying to catch up, man. I'm telling you, pray for me. I mean, I don't know. I tell you, between trying to keep up with all the games coming out and all the movies and comics and music, I just feel like I need to be able to like make duplicates of myself. Like,
Listen, again, like you're talking about this and that, and watch this, watch that. By the time I get through doing what I'm doing, when we come home, we ain't watching nothing. We'll start watching it, but
watch
we drop off the
watch
on the cliff.
watch Pacific Rim. At least watch one episode. Watch one episode of the cartoon on Netflix. Tell you, man, it's so good. It is so good. But anyway, I guess we can end this session, this interview, this documentary or docudrama or dramedy,
Let's chat 'em up.
dramedy or whatever it is, a science fiction slash fantasy.
Till we howl and we make these great statements of opinion, and the powers that be don't care. But it's okay because we like talking about it.
Well,
And I enjoy speaking to you, Sergio, because it's wild. I get an education from you. I'm writing stuff. If you notice, I'm making notes of things to pay attention to. Warehouse 13, gonna check that out for sure.
Pacific Rim cartoon,
Pacific Rim animated, yes.
Gamera.
Also wrote down. Okay, Gamera, you're making me write down.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I have Gamera now. All right,
Okay.
I have it.
Okay.
All right. You've influenced me. You're a true influencer and a gentleman. Thank you very much.
And mark down on your calendar for Comic Con.
Yes.
You got it? You wrote it down already?
I'm writing it down right now. My calendar is a whiteboard, so I don't want to erase June for September. September 27th through 29th, right?
Hold on.
All right.
It is 26th, 27th, and 28th.
Okay, so I'm going to say 628.
So it's gonna have to be. So we can try to go for like 5 o'clock. You said on that Friday.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right.
Go there and close them out.
And see what time they. Cause I don't know what time they close. Let me see what time they close.
9 or 10 maybe. I hope it's something like that, so we get our money's worth, so to speak.
Yeah, I gotta find it out. All right. Well, that'll be episode Nerds with Badges episode for I'm gonna say June 20th, but it's June 21st now. So
Yes, sir. Now, when am I going to be able to see this? I'm going to send me the link so I can make people watch it.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna upload it tonight. It'll probably take me about maybe 20-30 minutes. I have really fast internet nowadays, so it's $89 for a weekend thing. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna go for one day.
One day.
When you get those, sometimes you get.
For Comic-Con, it's not too bad. I guess.
No, but I'm not going for 3 days because I bought tickets. I bought tickets for the weekend for LA for IGN live, an event I went to like a week ago, and I only went for 1 day, and I was like, that wasted my money.
I thought I was gonna go for 3 days, but no.
Well, I just didn't really feel like going. I already went and seen everything, but then I was mad because Xbox revealed their new system. And I was like, ah.
Should have been there.
Yeah, it's like my sad story about Stan Lee. I went to the last Comic Con that he did here in LA, and he retired after that, and I didn't get his autograph or a picture because it was like $600 for a photo and $300 for autograph, and I was so freaking mad because that was my.
Are you kidding me?
He retired after that year though. I was like, ugh. It was Stan Lee's.
Picture was $600.
And the autograph was $300.
$300. Good Jesus, have mercy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I regret it though.
I love Stan, but Stan's a money dog.
That was my opportunity though. I mean, he retired after that year, and I was like, oh God, what have I done?
I'm stunned. I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
And I know people charge for autographs, but $600, stand, give it a rest. Good Jesus, have mercy.
Yeah.
And I know you got it. I know you got it. Don't get me wrong. I know you got it. You paid it. You know what I mean? It's like, or you wanted to pay it. You're ready to pay it. I probably would have been ready to pay it if I'd had it. But wow.
All right. So we'll
Yanking the fan.
so we'll talk again. I want to do another show with you. Another show, and we'll
Great.
talk.
Thank you.
We'll talk about some of the stuff that I've been working on, and
Yes.
and I also have some crazy ideas I want to throw at you. I won't say much, but I just say it involves Satchwatch. That's all I'm gonna say for now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with cryptozoology. So
Sounds interesting. Wow, that's great. Yay!
all right. Well, I'm gonna
I'm getting on the ground floor of this good stuff. Yes,
I'm gonna probably play Mario Kart or Mortal Kombat for another hour or so. Then I'm gonna turn in because I got a lot. I got to do laundry tomorrow, and I got to go to the grocery store. And
I'm living in laundry that I can't do tomorrow.
Lord have mercy, Jesus.
We got late texts. We got meetings and birthday parties and yeah. It's like
I got
a lot of resting, and that is over.
I
We're done with that.
I gotta do laundry. Otherwise, I'm gonna be washing some stuff off in the sink and hoping that it dries before I. Anyway, I'll talk to you later. You have a good night, man, and thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you so much, brother.
All right. I'll send you the. I'm gonna send you the link.